Hi, guys! Okay, first of all, is my mic blowing out your ears? Let me adjust that a little bit. We've got new technology on board today. Okay, Druid, what does it sound like? Music versus me. Good? Yay! I'm knocking on wood here. Maybe I made an adjustment. That was good. So we've got an exciting situation today. If you were up in the wee hours last night, or if you're on the other side of the world and it was daytime for you, you may have noticed that I did some stream testing last night. And, that's so good, Druid. That's what I was going for. I did some testing last night, so you might have seen a silly test pattern thing, but I have figured out the multiple streaming. So Jill and I can do co-streams. And I think I solved this problem we were having with Zoom. So I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on all the wood. I think things are good. So what I'm going to do now is bring Jill on. Jill's here. You're going to end up just seeing my my slideshow that we're going to look at crazy quilts today. I did not set up a second screen, so you're going to have to deal with it. We're going to be tiny, but I'm bringing her on the screen. So let me do that now. Hi! Did you unmute yourself? Yay!
I unmuted myself a while ago. I was just quiet.
All right, let me see if I can, let's see, I can make this.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually, that's not half bad. We are pretty small, but like we're good small.
Okay, good.
Well, and then we went away.
Yeah, I messed up the thing again. Ah! I had us perfect. Oh, you guys, I had us perfect. And then I went
why did you touch anything?
Because I'm a dummy. All right, let me try this again. All right, there we go. No, I don't think that's right either.
No, I still got nada.
No.
I mean, we're already doing better than we were the last time we tried this.
Yeah, but now, like, I've got see what I got going on here. There we go. All right, I got us back. Okay. I was trying to make us a little bit bigger, but I think...
Oh, yeah. So what did you touch to make us like that? Like we're little Brady Bunch people.
Yeah. I don't know. No, it's the multi-speaker view, but I just can't make it bigger right now, I think, without, like, totally messing it up. So next time...
I think this is good because people want to see quilts.
Yeah, that's true. And you really don't want to see, like, okay, I have 2 webcams going right now, and the one webcam I think is a better resolution than the webcam on my laptop that you guys usually watch me through. So you can really tell how, like, I should have washed my hair today because my bangs are greasy. So it's probably good if I'm a tiny thumbnail instead of a big one. So
I actually didn't notice before you said anything. I don't know why you like have to out yourself all the time.
Well, you know, I think I learned a long time ago is if you make fun of yourself before other people can. It's embracing it. So yeah, we're doing this on, if you were with us on Tuesday night, it was Crazy Quiltapalooza. And we spent like, it was almost 2 hours on just the New England Quilt Museum's quilts. So I have a bazillion more. So we thought we would just do this today, try this co-streaming thing. So you could be watching this on YouTube or you could be watching this on Twitch. Either place, we're so happy to have you and thank you. Let me real quick say hi. I saw a few people. Kenny, hi! Long time no see, buddy. I hope you're getting all settled in. I saw that you've got a new little baby. So I can't remember what you named her, but I think it's a she. Very cute little kitty. And of course Jill's here. And Druid, my darling. Who else did I see? Oh, Quiltish! Hi. Oh, you've been head down with work. Yeah, because you've got a fairly new job, right? Uh-oh. The vintage sewing machines. I know it. I know that. I know that feeling very well. So, well, before we get to the crazy quilts, I wanted to show you guys two things that I might have to take me and Jill off the screen and just be me for a minute so you can see the things I hold up. You'll still hear Jill talking though, so this will be just a short interlude. So let me go back to me. Oh boy. Okay. So I think you guys may remember, I might not have said this on Monday. I did say it on Tuesday night though. Yesterday I went to a quilt study group. And this is one that is pretty well attended. It's been been around for quite a while, out on the eastern shore of Maryland. And I got to see some old friends, see some new friends that I had never met in person. And so it was a lot of fun. And of course, quilts, and more quilts. I don't really have a lot to show for that, or really don't have anything to show for that, because mostly people don't love to... when they're doing quilt studies, they don't love to have their stuff put on social media. And in fact, a few people are like, no, please keep my quilts off social media, which I respect. So I took pictures. I showed Jill some of them, but because we're broadcasting, I respect the quilt owner's desires. But I can show you something. So they did a cool thing. And Jill, you said you seemed kind of surprised or not surprised, but you were kind of like, oh, that's so cool. And I guess maybe not all groups do this, whether it's a guild or a study group. But this particular study group, people that want, have things that they, no longer have room for, not studying anymore, just ready to get rid of. And guilds do this often, like bring in, fabric, tools, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's like take what you want, leave what you don't. And sometimes it's like make a donation to take something. And that's what they do. But the donation goes to AQSG. So I was very excited. And so what I picked up for my little donation is this adorable little doll quilt that Double T was carrying around. And it's got adorable little animals embroidered on it. I'll have to take some pictures of it. I just didn't have time. Look at the little kitties. So cute. And so, it looks like maybe something that a mom or a grandma made for, for a child. The front of it is faded. The back of it is not. So look at this beautiful fabric.
That is really pretty.
Yeah, I would put this, it's probably mid-century at the oldest. Maybe the embroideries might be older, but this fabric just has like a real 60s vibe to me. So, yeah, and then it had a little pillow. Look at this little pillow.
Oh,
isn't it cute?
That's really cute.
And the other cool thing that they did, it's hand stitched, the little hems, but it's hand stitched with a little chain stitch.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really, really well done. And I need to check in. It was right at the end of the meeting, and oh my God, separate story. The eastern shore of Maryland is below sea level. So it started raining and everybody's trying to just get out of there before they were soaked. So I didn't have a chance to really talk to the woman that brought this. So I need to check in with her and see, is this just something she picked up at a antique store, thrift store, whatever, or was this something that she had, in her possession, as a family thing? I don't know. So I have to find out about that, but so cute. I'm so into doll quilts now ever since we looked at the book that Mary Kay did with Mary, oh gosh.
Is it Childhood Treasures?
Yeah, Childhood Treasures. Is it Mary Gasparic? No. Ugh, that's terrible. Do I have it here? I usually have all my books in a pile down here, but I may have put that one back on my bookshelf.
Oh my God, it got put away? Wow, you're doing better than me.
Yeah, something got put away. It's insane. Yeah, I think I reshelved that one, so I'm sorry. But yes, it's Mary Kay's Childhood Treasures book, and I just got I'm so in love with doll quilts, and I always have been, but when You know how it is. I mean, Jill can attest to this. Like, you know, you fall down the rabbit hole and you're like, okay, this is what I'm obsessed with now. And then the next day somebody shows you something different and you're like, that is what I'm obsessed with now.
Yeah. True story.
So,
keeps things interesting.
It really does. So the one thing I wanted to do before we dive right into the crazy quilts is, you guys, if you came to or you watched our Dana Auctions watch party, my quilt came yesterday.
That's right. You got yours.
I got mine, and I haven't opened it yet.
Mine's still not here.
Yeah, you said yours was due today.
It's due today, I think, by 7.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like, I always feel like stuff coming south gets to me faster than anything going north. And so I wonder if that's because you're north of Dana's in New Jersey. Although, like, technically, am I closer to New Jersey or are you? I am.
I'm like 6 hours from her.
Yeah, I think I'm probably only 3, so that's probably what it is. Anyway, I got the big old box. And so this is my last big quilt purchase, I swear.
Yeah,
this
right.
year.
You guys have never heard a bigger lie ever.
For this year. This
year? Are you kidding me?
Well, seminar is a different seminar. What happens at seminar stays at seminar.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way it's your last. I would say like for this month, it's your last.
No, I really like my budget is super tapped out right now, and this quilt, you know, I mean, you buy a quilt at auction. I mean, you guys like. Oh, I see Kenny. As I'm opening this, I'm seeing Kenny's comment on the Touch and Sew. The Singer Touch and Sew, they are much maligned. And the reason is, Kenny, I don't know if you know this, you probably do. It's because all of the internal components are nylon. And I guess in 1970 whatever, they didn't think that nylon would be completely shattered and eroded by 2024. Yes, Quiltish, my pants are always on fire.
How do you even have room to open that big box where you're sitting?
Well, I have my screen is actually a little bit cocked to the side. I really don't have room, you guys. I thought about just leaving.
I thought you were just going to show it. I didn't know you were actually going to literally open the box on screen.
Yeah, I should have left my big mess open and, you know, you guys could just see the pile. So we have Dana's card, Dana's lovely card. Oh, you guys, it's so pretty. Got it. Oh, look at it. So
yeah, and is this your first one of this kind?
So this is a kit quilt. It is not my first kit quilt.
But is it your first of this kind of kit?
What do you mean by this kind of kit?
Do you have another bird?
I do not. This one,
okay.
I have to do some research. I'm pretty sure this is either Paragon or shoot, what's the other? I can't remember the other.
I feel like you told me it was Paragon before.
Yeah, I think it is. But I haven't seen this one before. And, you know, if somebody tells me, oh, that's not very rare, you can find hundreds of those, I'm going to be angry because, you know. But the eagle, there's the eagle.
And what's the colorway that you're really looking for? Is it the yellow one or the pink?
Well, so this is a completely different quilt than the Paragon from the 50s. This is a Paragon from the 70s. I'm pretty sure because it's a very bicentennial eagle. I need to research this pattern. I don't know that much about it. But the other one that you're talking about that I've had my eye on for a while, and I think I mentioned it during Dana's auction, she's had it twice. And she's had the gold one, which is the one I have had my eye on. I actually have the unstitched kit. So I have one of those. But I don't want to make it. I want to keep the kit intact. I would love to see a version of it, or I don't know, God forbid, get another kit and make it myself, which, you know, there's not enough time in the world. Cake doesn't have that much time. But anyway, that's the one that is kind of my unicorn that I've been looking for because I missed out on it twice. The one time that Dana sold one of them, it sold for like $10 over what I had placed a
Ugh.
absentee bid on. Yeah. And I suspect that if I had gotten into a bidding war with this person, I probably would have lost it. But then the second time she had one, I had just had my eye on it. I didn't attend the auction live, and then when I checked it again, it had sold for like way over my budget. Like I couldn't have afforded it. So in any event, this is Eagle Quilt Kit Quilt 2. This is a newer one. So yeah, that's the deal. So this actually goes along with two of the quilts that I bought from you. The 1970s Paragon, got the Tree of Life.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is, I know this looks like it's black on screen. This is actually a really, really dark brown.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say maybe a blue.
It's a really, really, really dark brown. Let's see if I can get this picture. Can you see?
Sort of. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of chocolatey.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to take some pictures for social media. I actually think my mom has that fabric.
Do you think so? The brown? Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like Cranston fabric. You know, Cranston VIP. I mean, you guys probably recognize this fabric. If you were alive during the 70s, your mom was sewing with it. What I think is very cool about the Eagle is, first of all, look at its eyeball.
Oh, I like how I like that it's
outlined.
Yes. Yeah, yes. I'm like I can't find words.
Yes, it is outlined. It doesn't, let's see. I'm trying to see if this is. Yeah, I think that this is bias. I think that this might be like a bias tape or a bias cut. And then yeah, all of these stars are all embroidered on. I'm so excited. I love it.
I like it. I like it a lot. Do you have were you in your house in that stairway where you hang quilts to take pictures? Do you hang a quilt there for display, or is it just to take pictures?
I hang quilts there. I'll hang something there and leave it up for a while.
I feel like this is one that like really deserves some display for a minute.
Yeah. So the challenge is, and I will hang stuff like, so I think one of the quilts I bought from you, I think it was the Tree of Life one, I had, or it's not the Tree of Life, it's oh shoot, I can't remember. There's the Tree of Life and then there's the two complementary quilts. One of them I did hang up. It's orchids, isn't it? Or not orchids.
Is it like lilies? I feel like it was
lilies. It's like lilies or something. In any event, I had that one hanging up for a while, but the challenge with these is because they're a white background. And I live on a really busy road, and I've mentioned this before. Like,
things get dusty.
The dust and the grit, and it's not just like, if it was just my cat hair dust and fabric dust, it's not a big deal. Fabric dust, you just vacuum it up, you lint roller the cat hair. But the grit that we get, like that I vacuum out of our carpets, is like it's somebody swept up off the asphalt. It's gross. So I try to keep textiles and things like covered if they're in the front of our house. So yeah, that's why I kind of limit, because it's right, my front door, like that's the wall where I hang, and then my front door is literally right there. So
what a stinker.
Yeah, the one decent wall where I can back up enough to get most of a quilt in the picture. Yeah, exactly. It is kind of a stinker. So might move my little space here.
Quiltish says that print is. Oh wait, she asked, "Is it VIP Cranston?"
Yes, I'm pretty sure
it's
VIP.
I thought she said it is. I was gonna be like, "Ooh, someone knows for sure."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is VIP Cranston. And that's something that and if anybody out there, our friends that lurk, I know you guys sometimes know these things. Somehow or another, Paragon was doing, getting fabric from, VIP Cranston or Cranston VIP. They were, so Cranston's the company, and the VIP Printworks was like the modern fabrics, because Cranston had been around since the 1800s. I did some research on them, but the actual, like, getting the fabric to Paragon, like, was that some kind of partnership? Was it licensing? Was Cranston just buying a bunch of Paragon just buying a bunch of wholesale fabric? I don't know. I'm really interested in finding out about that. because I don't think I've mentioned this to you guys, and I kind of like to keep some of this stuff under wraps because it's going to be in my study center at AQSG. But as I've been studying Sunbonnet Sue, I found a situation where Cranston prints were being used by Hallmark.
What?
And I was like, what is this? So, yeah, I think there's just a time period where things are very, maybe a little loosey-goosey. They're sharing, they're sharing stuff or stealing from each other. I don't know. All right. Let me jump over here to Jill. So, are we ready to look?
We are ready.
Okay. Before, I totally forgot. Hi, Winnie. I have a little poem to read. I'd seen this before. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this little poem is in the Carrie Hall book, which we have not read. It's a Carrie Hall Rose Kretzinger. But this is a poem about it's called A Crazy Quilt by Douglas Malloch. And Arlene, you said Arlene's here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think Arlene reminded me that this about this poem because somebody had posted it in the Six Know-It-Alls page. So let me read it. A Crazy Quilt. Let me make this bigger. Okay. They do not make them anymore, for quilts are cheaper at the store than women's labor through a wife. Men think the cheapest thing in life. But now and then a quilt is spread upon a quaint old walnut bed, a crazy quilt of those old days that I am old enough to praise. Some woman sewed these points and squares into a pattern like life's cares. Here is a velvet that was strong, the poplin that she wore so long, a fragment from her daughter's dress, like her, a vanished loveliness. Old patches of such things as these, old garments and old memories. And what is life? A crazy quilt, sorrow and joy and grace and guilt, with here and there a square of blue for some old happiness we knew. And so the hand of time will take the fragments of our lives and make, out of life's remnants as they fall, a thing of beauty after all. Douglas Malloch.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. It's certainly better than, what is it that Dr. Dutton called crazy quilts, those awful old silk things.
Yeah.
So, anywho, Quilt just says you have an ornament from the 70s. Yeah. I feel like, since I've sort of started picking up bits and pieces of Cranston, I feel like I see them in my sleep. They're always there. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kenny, yes. The nylon gears. Oh, the belts. They have belts. Also a disaster. All right. Are we ready to look at some of these quilts? Oh my gosh, you guys.
I am ready.
Yeah.
I don't even know all the stuff you have. It's a surprise for me too.
Jill has not seen these. So, I may have to move us and the chat depending on what we see on the screen, but I hopefully have us in there where it'll be okay. So, what we're going to see first is these are some quilts, and Arlene, please let me know if I got any of this stuff wrong. But these quilts that we're going to look at first were from an exhibition called Community Stitches, Quilt Designs and Stories that was at the Pasadena Museum of History, and they gave us permission. Arlene checked in with them and made sure it was okay. And in exchange for being able to show these pictures, we want to give them a plug. They are a great museum. I've never been there myself, but my next trip to California, I will definitely put them on my list. And we have the donate button here. If you live in California, live anywhere near Pasadena, have ever been to the museum or want to go to the museum, always nice to support them. I know with museums, and Jill can attest to this, every little bit counts, Certainly they love to have donors that hand over, thousands and thousands of dollars. But also they love the average person like me who's happy to chuck $20 in their collection plate every now and then. So whatever you can spare, if you are so called, please donate to them. So let us take a look. So this first one we're going to look at is called The Family is Giddings. It's a crazy quilt from 1917. Let me move us down here. Okay. And then, and I can see in this one, it looks like they've, you can see there's somebody's hand there. So that might be, you know, somebody like a curator or something, but they've marked, I think, some areas of concern maybe. I often see this, you know, when you're looking at quilts that have been shown or somebody's working on conserving them. They mark stuff with little tags. Look at this!
Wow.
Look at that. Now, the other day I read about Lizzie Johnson, and remember she had made bookmarks, and something tells me they were not this elaborate, but and I mean, I guess that is what this could be used for. I've seen these ribbons, Victorian era, they have all kinds of things printed or painted on them, and you know, they made their way into crazy quilts a lot. But this one, I can't quite make out what all of the text is on it, but pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are just a feast for the eyes. This looks like a piece of like a hanky or something, and then you've got the initials on it, and then you've got these different little patches.
It almost looks like when people make quilts out of hankies.
Mm-hmm.
Arlene said a local artist was a descendant of the Giddings and donated several family quilts to the museum.
Yeah, we're going to see another Giddings quilt in a minute. Arlene sent so many wonderful pictures, and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't decide what to put in here. Because I knew we would be, well, we're limited in time, and we could sit here probably for hours and hours and hours and pour over these. But I mean, just look, all of these little, just, you know, little embroidery bits and pieces here and there. You know, we see this kind of stuff, and we often ask the question, did one person do all of this, or, you know, was it a group project? Like maybe it was sisters, or a group of women who are neighbors or friends, you know, whatever, and they all maybe contributed stuff. So, you know, you never know unless you have some details. And I can say Arlene sent me a whole bunch of like good history too, and I looked through it, but I mean, some of it I wasn't sure like how much I should be revealing about these people's specifics, you know. I mean, I know it's all history, but I didn't.
That handkerchief looking piece we were looking at, Arlene said they thought it was a mourning handkerchief, and Leah found an obituary for a gal whose initials we thought were those.
Elsie, interesting. You know, and that's the fun of researching this stuff. I mean, a lot of the time, you can't be 100%, but you put together enough information. You know, the fact that this Giddings family lost a person who had the initials LC. I mean, it all starts to fit together. You know. So yeah. If I could go back. Crud. I have a lot of things up on my screen, you guys.
Arlene also says Leah gets the credit for all the research. Leah Zieber.
Yeah. Leah Zieber is an amazing researcher. I can say if you used to watch Quilt Nerd with Mary Fonz, Leah did a whole bunch, I guess a bunch of research, but I'm assuming she kind of already had like a path to follow, a thread to pull, but she was able to tell Mary a whole bunch of stuff about that really interesting quilt that Mary inherited from her neighbor when her neighbor passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Leah that was able to give all of that really interesting information.
Oh. So, I don't know that I knew that.
Yeah. So this little embellishment here, I mean, that's like just some kind of little applique. I mean, I guess it could have been snipped from some lace, but to me it looks like just sort of an independent applique that might have gone like on a dress or something that they put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it when you see crazy quilts that have some actual, you know, pieced pieces in them. And so that's what this is. Like some little pineapple blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the binding here, it appears to be some hand stitching in there, but also this kind of weird little seam here strikes me as like it could have been maybe some machine piece stuff. I don't know. I know my crazy quilt kind of has something like going on like this on the edge. It's like they get to the end of it and they're just like, slap some binding on that thing. Okay, so this is another Giddings quilt from 1934. This one is dated and has the name Lula S.Y. And then there's Aunt Nan. And these fabrics look more of like kind of silky sort of stuff. You know, might be some dresses and stuff. I know the 1940s is when you really get into like rayon and things. So I don't know what the fabrics in the 30s, you know, and maybe these coming from the 20s. I mean, I would assume some of them are silk. I don't know what, you know, some of those other fibers like rayon and acetate, like that kind of stuff. I'm not 100% sure when that came on the scene. I know it's this era, but I don't know if it's like closer to World War II or if it was earlier in the century. But I'm wondering if some of this stuff is like that, you know, rayon or acetate kind of stuff. Okay, this one. Uh-oh, I think I forgot to put the... Eek! I forgot to put the, whatchamacallit here. I can't remember who this one is. Hold on a second. Hold, please. Let me see. I think this one is one that's got Kate Greenaway images on it, I think. Yeah. So you see all the little embroideries in there. And this one, let me open that, because that image, if I can find it, because you guys have to see this. This cracked.
Yeah, Arlene said yes, lots of Kate Greenaway stuff.
This one had, let's see, that one, if I can find it, here it is. I think, yeah. Look at this. It is a child either running a lawnmower or some type of asphalt device. I'm assuming it's supposed to be a lawnmower, but like, look at that thing. It looks like the thing like when the road crews are, they dug up the street and then they put the asphalt back down and they run like it's like a giant tube that looks like it's made out of concrete or something over it. That's what that looks like to me. Poor child. Child labor was
run
rampant.
Over his enemies.
Child labor was rampant in the Victorian era. Oh, hey, Bishal. So according to Google, rayon became increasingly popular in the 20s and 30s. Okay. So that 34 quilt may have contained rayon. It's just a guess. Arlene, definitely you've seen these quilts in person, so correct me if I'm wrong about anything. But I love right here, like where they've got this little multicolored embroidered border.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, they're just, and it's like alternating, and I think that's really cute. It's really charming. It
out of the corner of my eye, it almost kind of looks like little hands.
Yeah. Some more Kate Greenaway. And these are just such sweet little embroideries. You could see some more flower.
They're also really stuff. Nicely done.
They are. Yeah. I know some of them, like some of mine, the Kate Greenaway stuff on mine, there's some that are really, really, really well done, and then there's others that are a little sloppy. The thing is, if you do, and I don't know how many of you embroider, I think a number of you do, but if you're doing this outline stitch, if you don't turn the stitches like the right way, they sort of get like kind of choppy. But if you turn the stitches the other way, like the direction you're going, they kind of roll over each other. They look much nicer. So you can tell when somebody is like kind of an expert embroiderer and they take tiny little stitches in the right direction versus somebody who's maybe newer at embroidery and is just trying to do the outline.
I fall under the category of the newer, choppier embroiderer.
It's fine, you know, and I mean, it's just like one of those things with practice. It just, you know, but yeah, Arlene is saying this is in excellent condition. And I think, yeah, as I looked through pictures, there's not anything I noticed in here that Druid. I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm talking about sloppy stitchers of the end of the century, of the last, or 2 centuries ago. But yeah, as I was looking through this one, I don't think I saw any shattered silks or anything. So I guess my theory is you've got people that had nicer fabrics at their disposal, you know, nicer silks, maybe older silks. I don't know. But you've got those silks that are weighted because silk was sold by the weight. And so, you know, they put finishes and mordants and stuff in them that made them heavier, but those things in turn destroyed the silk over the years. So, oops. I think I went back another one too far.
Ooh, this one's interesting.
Okay, yeah. We'll get there in a sec. These were just some more of these beautiful flowers. Yeah. And they look very similar to things I've seen over and over in a lot of crazy quilts. And so I think that these types of floral embroidery motifs were pretty popular, obviously, you know, besides the Kate Greenaway stuff. Okay. This is the honeybee one, and I think this is the one that we kind of, we saw a little bit the other day, I think. And so it's, the block is like, I think this is called a honeybee block with the square in the middle and then the little, what do you call those? Like little teardrop shapes, but I think they're supposed to resemble a bee, I guess, coming into the corners.
Oh.
And then there's all this crazy quilt and stuff going on around it with tons of like names and stuff in there. So, I mean,
this definitely looks like one of those scenarios where like different people are making the block, each block.
Yeah, I guess, but you know, honestly, I mean, as I'm looking here, and there's so much to look at here. I did not pore over the pictures to like really compare, but it kind of looks like a lot of the same handwriting. You know, I mean, perhaps I'm wrong, but I mean, that to me looks like a lot of similar handwriting. And maybe it's just you know, people that have the similar handwriting. I don't know. But I mean, just look at the number of names in here. This one's twice, right? No, Mrs. M. A. Stanley, Mrs. C.
Would this be one of those scenarios where it's like a, words, like, like a cherry quilt
or a presentation. Yeah, I'm wondering. I didn't. So I don't know. Wait a minute. Let me see if Arlene. Sorry. I think we're both having trouble today.
Yeah, I don't have any words.
Yeah, let me see if Arlene had. I know some of these things came. Oops.
Just a weird FYI. I'm having some really nasty thunder outside.
Uh-oh.
So Arlene just said when people came in and saw this quilt, there were comments made about recognizing local surnames.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't that be cool if you walked into an exhibit and be like, hey,
that's my great grandmother.
Yeah, like I know that name.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the so this is the Pasadena Museum of History details that Arlene shared. And so this quilt is from 1892. I don't think I put that on the slide. It was purchased at an estate sale, so it seems like maybe so I'm looking back through here.
Can I just say how jealous I am? I feel like I never get to go to estate sales where you're finding something like this.
I know. I feel like the estate sales I see are like they're selling, you know, the Tupperware from the 90s. Like stuff that
don't get me wrong.
Not...
I do like some Tupperware like that, but I'm like, I'm usually finding like, they'll be like, oh my God, look at this really old quilt. And it's a Chinese import that's been used as a dog bed. And they're like $500.
No, thank you. But yeah, this is so interesting.
Arlene said the woman that bought this and eventually donated paid about $25 for it. Steph, I'm really surprised we didn't just see you like literally just like die right there. Just like my life is over, goodbye.
Yeah, that's pretty much isn't that what the kids say? I'm dead. Yeah. Yeah, we hear these stories and it's like, oh, I'm so jealous, you know, but also how wonderful that this was rescued, you know, because I feel like when people are selling things for dollar amounts like that, if somebody had not bought it, what would have happened to it? I'm wondering if they didn't value it enough to sell it for more. I don't know. And of course, well, let's see. I think there was a date on this when she bought it.
Hi, Robin.
I thought I saw a date on here. Well, it was donated in 2022.
Oh.
Yeah, it just says that she purchased it at an estate sale. I don't see an actual date that she purchased it, unless I'm just missing it. But yeah, I mean, she could have bought it in 2021. She could have bought it much before that. So I don't know if I can necessarily say whether $25 was super cheap or not, but for something as beautiful as this, I'm going to say $25 was super cheap no matter when it was purchased.
Yes.
Oh, but there's more. I mean, just look at like all of those names. It is so wild to me. Oh, right, Robin? I know. To be so lucky to find something this gorgeous for $25. I know.
Yeah, that really is a, like, ridiculous amount of names.
Yeah. Okay. So, I moved on to the medallion crazy quilt.
That one's really cool.
And this one, I think this is the one that has a couple of very, very neat things in it that I was not expecting as I went through and looked at it. So let me get the correct info on this one.
I really like the stuff going on in the border and the corners there. They're kind of like the little half medallions.
Okay, this one's 69 by 69 and a half. That's pretty big. I'm looking to see. I don't think we have a date on this. I don't think I saw one in here. No. But wait till I show you what I saw that was like, what? So first of all, just some of this beautiful stitching. You know, these flowers all around this blue silk border. And then you've got, like, this is ribbon here at the top of the fan. You can see that it's been, like, pleated to make it curve. And then you've got these little silk blades that make up this fan. I mean, just, oh, gorgeous. And look at that little stitch. It's like a little cross.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is what did me in. Look at this! So not only are these charming little embroideries, and I don't know if this one specifically is a Kate Greenaway or not, but they've clearly been like some kind of transfer or tracing. And then the maker has put little clothing on them. So you've got the little basket, the little skirt, this little like jacket or cape kind of thing, and then she's embroidered the arm. I mean, what? It's difficult enough to just, you know, embroider them, but then to do this kind of thing with, you know, to clothe them in separate clothing. I just was blown away by this. And just how precious and well done it is.
Grits and Butter says, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, right?
And Arlene says, we love the blue border. There are 3 people of different ages. Leah thought a progression of age.
Interesting. Okay, well, look at these. The next pictures. So here's another girl. She's got a little umbrella. And I don't know if I don't know if this is like an apron or something, but look at her little dress. And I mean, even like a little gathered sleeve with a little cuff. I mean, and then her little, and I don't think that, I think this is probably just the, like the drawing or the inking, but she's got little striped stockings on. And then the lady, let me move us over here for a sec.
That bustle is just something else.
The lady, yes, look at that. She's got this bustle. She's got this little velvet coat. And I thought at first that maybe she was worn away, but this, I think this little piece is lace. I think it's supposed to be a little lace veil. And then up here, looks like it's a hat or a feather or something.
Grits and Butter and Arlene are kind of having a little conversation here about it reminding them of paper dolls.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's really what I thought of. You know, and you think, yeah, and I'm wondering if that's maybe kind of what inspired the maker, you know, to have these just little black and white transfers or drawings, and then to cut them out and dress them and then stitch them down. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. There's obviously skill needed here, but how fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Grits was asking, you didn't have a year for this one, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Arlene says don't think so. No date on this one.
Yeah, I keep trying not to show the Pasadena Museum's like accession book, but yeah, I don't think this one only had a size. It didn't have a date, but you know, sans date, I think it's safe to say 1880s.
Yeah, I've never seen figures on one that are quite like this.
Yeah,
it makes them very lifelike to me.
It really does. And I mean, you just, again, like I can put myself in the shoes of a person who was like, you know, I want to make this stupendous. I want to try this out.
Well, and what about the skill for making these tiny clothes and how realistic they look?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I mean, you kind of wonder, like, obviously the original little drawing of the people should have had the clothing. So, I mean, it's probably just a matter of, you know, clipping and snipping and kind of needle turning. I mean, I make it sound like that's easy. It's not.
I was going to say, because that's simple.
But yeah, it's a person who had a vision and had some skill, I think. So. Okay, so that was everything that Arlene sent us. Everything
Thank you so much, Arlene.
Yeah. That was not everything Arlene sent us. That was everything Arlene sent us that I put in a slideshow. I guess depending on how much time we have, we can go back and look at some more because she sent us some really amazing stuff. So yes, thank you so much, Arlene. But I have more. So let's jump in here. And Arlene, this is where you need to correct me if my guesses were wrong, but I think this is not the Pasadena Museum. This is for the California Documentation Project, if I'm correct. And what Arlene sent me for this had a bunch of great stuff, but also there were photographs of people. So, let's see. Let me open that one. Yeah, there's pictures of people. I mean, just open some of those because I'm not sure they weren't labeled in the image file, but you can see here's this nice looking old lady. That lady. This lady. And that guy.
And wait, and why are we looking at these people?
So they're the people that are associated with this quilt.
Okay.
And Arlene also sent a whole folder with some cool information. So there's an article written by somebody named Julia Holmes Jones in about 1945 about this woman, Carrie Ann Stocks Holmes, whom I'm assuming is her relative. And then the Quilt Index about this. I'll read the Quilt Index information about this because it was actually kind of interesting. I mean, it's all interesting, but...
Arlene says private party, but was in the exhibit. Now it's with family. We are documenting in the California Heritage Quilt Project. Gotcha. The maker is one of the ladies.
Okay. So then this one was the museum and part of the California Documentation Project. Okay, so I labeled this a little bit incorrectly, so please give give Pasadena the rights on this too. But again, thank you so much, Arlene. This is so much good information. But so the artist's statement about this, that it's the stuff you have to fill out when you put something on the Quilt Index. But this says it has been a family story that this lovely old quilt was once displayed at the Columbian World Exposition of 1893 in Chicago. So if you've read the book, what is it, White City? The guy's name is Eric. I love it when half of a memory comes into my head. It's the book about the Columbian World Exposition. It's a very cool book. It's semi-historical, semi-fiction. H.H. Holmes, the serial killer, gets in there. But that's what this is. This is supposedly exhibited there. It was a big, big, big deal in Chicago. It's like where they first exhibited electricity. It was where the Ferris wheel was, like all this cool stuff. So it was supposedly exhibited there or displayed there. We have no way to determine whether the quilt was made when Carrie was a teenager, recuperating from overwork as a teaching assistant in Blue Rapids, Kansas, or later when she returned to school at the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago in the 1880s. So the person that made this had, she had some provenance there. She was an artistic lady. But the fact that her brother Fred was involved in the government exhibit at the exhibition, popularly known as the Chicago World's Fair, throughout its duration makes the story a credible one. So her brother was affiliated with the fair, good chance that she got to show this. Although this quilt began its life on the East Coast, it has been in California since the Holmes family moved west in 1912. Carrie's obituary lists her as an early pioneer of the Monrovia Duarte area, and she's buried there along with her husband. Her husband Charles and sons George and Tom were instrumental in forming the Monrovia Feature Film Company around 1915, which after producing one film, unfortunately ceased to exist. It was no MGM. Her mother, Adelaide Julia Culverstocks, also died in Monrovia. So, very cool. It's so neat to hear these histories, and I love these documentation projects, where they have all this information. So let us look at some of the stuff. This quilt is so full of cool stuff. So here, I just saw just tons of things that there's this cross-stitchy moth or butterfly. I see stuff that looks like little printed ribbons. This, I think, is probably a nest, interleaved rings, flowers, picture and bowl, mother. Every single piece has something interesting about it, whether it's some embroidery or, just the fabric itself. I think there's some stuff on here that is painted, I think. This is like an ink drawing. And whistle, she's showing some leg there. This is a young lady. This appears to be painted. And look at that. You and I have looked at some painted stuff on other quilts that, it's maybe a little faded, or the paint was too thick, so it was a little cracked or a little spotty. But this looks like, just pristine, like it was just painted yesterday. Look, all this embroidery. You've got cross-stitching. You've got some, look like beads to me. I think those are beads right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, yeah, look, shoes. There's some shoes. I just love this. Check that out. That little parasol. It very, very much like, that other quilt, and
the fabric's even folded the way it would be sitting.
Exactly. And I would assume this is either a strip of fabric, but more than likely a ribbon, I'm thinking. I'm guessing they could have hemmed this, but and with silk you can hem silk and it's gets you a pretty tiny compressed hem, but nonetheless, this is amazing. And then of course we have our that Orientalism, you know, chinoiserie, Japanophile kind of stuff that was going on that time period. They loved the fans and all of the Asian kind of imagery.
Grits and Butter just said, "Holy cow! I don't know if I worship her or hate her."
Right? Like, sis, she was crazy good at this crazy quilt making. This one also painted, and you can see this one maybe has a little bit of paint loss there where it's kind of
that kind of white work looking thing on top of it is very interesting too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, is that it? Kind of looks like it. Is it really just thick embroidery, or are there some beads in there?
It looks like thick embroidery to me, and we can click back through these images. I can make them bigger. They also must have been a gaming family or something, because this, I think, is either a domino or a dice, a single die, but I think it's a domino is what it looks like to me.
Oh, yeah.
There's more gaming items on here. There's them
Speaking
shoes.
Of gaming items, it's obviously not in your slides, but on the Facebook group we've mentioned, the 6 Know-It-Alls Show Us Your Quilts, Pam Weeks, I think yesterday, and it's so funny, I'm like, stop sharing good stuff after we've put all the stuff together. And I totally forgot about this, but she shared a crazy quilt at the New England Quilt Museum that has a lot of game board pieces on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like the actual...
Yeah, like I forget off the top of my head exactly which game it was that she was showing, but like example, like it would have like a chessboard or a checkerboard, and what's that one with like the red and black triangles on it?
Backgammon?
Yes.
Oh.
You know, so it's very cool. You're gonna have to go check that out. So like if you guys aren't in that group on Facebook, it's 6 Know-It-Alls Show Us Your Quilts, and for the whole month of July they're doing crazy quilts. So like the party doesn't have to stop here.
Yeah, if you're not a member of that group, why? Because if you came to see this, you definitely want to see the stuff they put on there, and all you have to do is request membership. And I can't remember, you probably had to answer some questions like, why do you want to be here? So these are
Arlene says, only quilt known to be made by Carrie. She was also an artist, oil and watercolor.
Okay, so then that would explain some of those painted pieces that are pretty good. This was another close-up of that fan. And to me, this looks like it was some kind of either fabric or ribbon. And you could see like they had started to do this itty-bitty little tiny bit of stitching in there. They didn't finish. This leaf shape in here with like, look at all that shading.
Is that embroidery?
I think it is. Yeah.
It almost looks like a paper pieced quilt.
Yeah, it's a long and short stitch that kind of blends. It sort of blends together the way you do it. And I would think that this either has to be like a single strand, or it is silk. You know, very, very thin strand. But it's definitely made to go on this quilt, because it was not a slip. At first I thought, is that a slip? Like, you know, machine embroidered? But you can see the itty bitty little stitches here attaching it. So I'm thinking this could be something manufactured that they cut out and very carefully applique on. Or it could be a piece that somebody made.
Arlene says the big leaf was a pre-made and applique on.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Good. I feel better about myself that maybe like a human didn't stitch that thing on there as embroidery.
But nonetheless, look at these itty bitty little stitches that they used to put it on there. So from my perspective, you know, nothing is ever for sure when you look at these. Because I mean, look at this is the size of the regular old like pearl cotton stitches. So.
Apparently, I'm having like an unscheduled hurricane outside.
Oh no! So this is painted. This little coffee urn or pitcher or whatever it is. The letters DT. And I'm trying to think, was there a D or... Yeah, I don't remember as I read that little piece that there was anybody with the first name that started with a D. So I don't know. Is that
Well,
about
it's
somebody,
in
or?
parentheses, so I'm wondering if it's actually a phrase.
Yeah, that's at that, and that was my next question. Is this something else? Is some other reference?
Um, in regards to that like leaf you were looking at, Arlene
Hmm.
said most seemed all to be by her hand, but that particular one was pre-made.
Definitely pre-made. Okay. This looks painted. Let me move us. This is painted. And then this, to me, looks like a millinery leaf that has
Yeah.
been stitched down, and then the little stitch. Look at this. I mean, just lovely, lovely
The,
embroidery.
the way that you like moved us down to the bottom of the screen, it looks like I'm like peeking over. Like
Oh, and we jump forward. Okay, so this is September 15th, 1883. And then look at the snake.
ooh,
Like,
that's
it's
the
wrapped
first time I've
around a
seen,
tree
like,
or
a snake
something.
like that.
Yeah, it's just wild. This one, yeah, I think this is similar to one of the other sort of.
Miss Rawl, honey, you are in the next town over, and I know that because I know where you are.
I just love this. The fact that this was cross stitched. And then this, they showed this earlier, that butterfly moth thing is cross stitched too. And then this little crown up here is cross stitched. This playing card. I said gaming family.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a close up of what I thought was a nest, but I guess it's probably more of a spider web that's in between some little bits of.
That light blue square up there, is that like a crescent moon with a face?
It's an owl. Yep.
Oh, it's
there's
an owl?
and then the crescent moon. Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, there's no way that's an owl.
No, the owl is standing there.
The other thing's
then,
an owl.
Yeah, and then the crescent moon. Yeah, and so I'm guessing, yeah, she was an artist. And Arlene just said she was a watercolor and oil painting. So it makes sense to me that some of these little illustrations and paintings had to have been her, right? There's something. Look at this little pipe. I was trying to put these on the screen, and I was like, well, let me zoom in on that. Oh, but if I zoom in on that, I'll cut off that. Oh, I don't know what to show.
So the hurricane just stopped.
Okay, that's good.
So coming your way, Miss Raw.
Okay, so we're gonna jump ahead to some other people's stuff that I snagged, that I got permission to share, and then I'd like to go back to Arlene's stuff because they're so good. There's so much to look at. So these were a couple that Barbara Brackman posted recently, and she kind of gave me, she was like, yeah, please share. And this one, I swear I've seen this one somewhere else, but maybe I'm just like the hearts are kind of popping out to me, and I've just seen those hearts on something before. But I thought this was interesting because you've got these flags, and they're all like a little different. There's some of them have a big star, some of them look like they have weird columns of stars. But I'm thinking that's probably like a striped fabric or a dots or stars or something. This one looks like it's a little bit more of a scattered stars. Unfortunately, she didn't have like a picture I could zoom in on really tightly without it being blurry. So, and then this one, Oneida, New York, 1884. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, just,
yeah, that one's bananas.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. A friendship quilt for Mrs. E.F. Roas. So, amazing stuff. So the women that were doing this stuff, they were very talented. And we've also seen a lot of stuff where they were maybe not so talented, but they had a really great idea. Now, Ileana Villazon is another quilt dealer that I have met. She's there in the Six Know-It-Alls. She posts a lot of really awesome quilts. And
bye, Arlene. Thanks for coming by.
Oh, thanks, Arlene. I know you have stuff to do during the day, so I appreciate you coming over. So Ileana, these are all quilts that she has sold, but she gave me permission to post them. And then I actually have access to her sold quilts Pinterest she gave me. So I'll look at that later because I think it had a lot of stuff that was not crazy quilts. Mm-hmm. But she was so kind to share these with me, and I'm not sure, she never shared with me her eBay link. So I'm not sure, maybe she doesn't have anything active right now. But I'm going to circle back with her and double check because, she gave me permission to show these. I thought we could at least return the favor and share her link because she has some cool stuff. So this one, I just thought this was a really lovely one. It's bigger pieces, you know, but kind of, you know, still the traditional color scheme and all that. Then this one over here on the right is definitely a more contemporary one. You know, this one I would say is firmly in the, you know, 1880s to 1920s, what we tend to put crazy quilts in if we don't know the date. But this one has got to be, you know, much later. You can see in this picture here, it appears to be either they have pieced these together, but I think it's more likely it's the side of some pants or the side seam of some clothing. Yeah, I think that's what that is. I could be wrong because, you know, again, I couldn't zoom in on these pictures without, I mean, they're a little bit blurry anyway. But I really liked this one. And I mean, these two, looking at them, it's kind of almost the same kind of situation. These same number of these big blocks that are just filled with crazy quilt stuff. So I really liked those. And move us. So this one is another kind of, you know, sort of more modern crazy. And then this one too. This one I kind of wonder, I didn't have a chance to ask her a whole lot of details, but I kind of wonder if this one has polyester. If these are pieces of polyester double knit. Because you can see down here, there's this little tiny fragment that has got to be a bicentennial print of some sort. Because you can just see. I would be very surprised if it's not. So I'm thinking this has got to be from the 70s and is definitely double knit. This one looked more like some cottons, you know, and like could be some garment, you know, scraps from garment. And you know, if you've ever sewn in clothing, you know, you cut out, you know, the shapes, and then you have these, you know, odd shaped pieces that are left over, and sometimes they're not really good for much, but you know, you can get them into a crazy quilt for sure. So, and then this
I like
one,
that one that's really pastel is like kind of made in like four quadrants.
Yeah, it is. It's like four big giant rectangular blocks. This one is I'm thinking silk or acetate or, you know, something silky. It looks to me like it's an older one, and she had one detail shot of this one. It didn't show much else than like what you're seeing right here. But if it's silk, I think it's probably pretty old. If it's maybe some kind of like acetate or I guess polyester would be much more modern, but like, well, I don't know, what were they making things out of in the 50s, like satin? I don't know if that had some man-made fibers in it at that point, but I was thinking I could go either way on this. Like maybe it's mid-century using some satins, or it could be much older using silk. Hard to tell, but I thought it was really neat looking because look there, it's like it's crazied in strips.
and it's thin strips as far as crazy stripping goes.
Yeah, and again, looking back over all these, you've got like big blocks, you've got giant quadrants, you've got strips, all kinds of different ways that people decide to orient and put together their stuff. This one is a little bit more of a traditional one, and you can see, you know, there's an embroidered ribbon, there's some embroidered little pieces, you've got, you know, all kinds of different patterned fabric. Now this section up here is much more colorful than these sections down here. So I kind of beg the question, was it just how they put together their fabrics that maybe they just happened to get the really colorful ones in here? Which makes sense. If somebody is just kind of collecting fabrics, maybe they didn't already have like this big bag of fabrics, and they start making these blocks, it makes entire sense that, you know, when they made this block, they just had all of these brighter fabrics. But I also kind of wonder if these are maybe a different time period versus these. I don't know.
Maybe.
You know?
There's also just like a flag in the center.
Yeah, right there. I missed that.
I mean, it seems that kind of olivey green is in most of the blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But is it the same olivey green?
I mean, on my screen, it looks like it could likely be, but who knows? You could also, I mean, maybe you also have different people making different blocks.
Or you have a situation where this section never saw light, And so it's brighter, like that green right there. If that's the same olive green that's in a lot of the blocks, this one is not as faded as like this and this. Like these two seem very close. So this middle block and then this top one, the olive green seems pretty close. But then down here, is that a separate fabric? Is that the olive green faded? You know, I don't know. So anyway, I mean,
very important questions.
Well, and it's just the thing, like, I mean, we can sit here and make up stories all day long because not only have we not seen these quilts in person, we've also just got like one single picture that's difficult to zoom in on. But then she did have this little zoomed in picture of this. I guess it's like a little ribbon of some sort, or what it could be, I don't know, universal. It could be the inside of a hat. That is something I've discovered.
London, Paris on there? New York,
London, Paris, New York. Yeah. And yeah, on the linings inside hats, derby linings, were another thing that people gathered up to put into crazy quilts. So neckties, you know, pieces of dress, you know, dresses, clothing construction, scraps, the derby linings, the little, you know, silk ribbons and bookmarks and things. So there's so many things that they could put in here. So this one on the left, I'm pretty sure looks like all wool suiting. And because of these two pastel plaid, or no, actually there's 5 pieces, not just 2. That pastel plaid, I'm kind of thinking is later on. I have a crazy quilt that is in not great condition, but it's got some kind of things like this. They seem brighter than they should up against all of these darker pieces. So my question has been, were these plaids, you know, at, you know, 1880 to 1920, like, did they have plaids of those colors? Maybe, probably, I guess. Or were these, you know, later, and these are just your standard wool scraps? I don't know. So I feel like this one it's a kind of a question mark as to when this might have been made.
It wouldn't be the first time I've been fooled by something. I was like, oh, there's no way they had a fabric like that, and turns out they did. So. Yeah,
exactly. And then this one I thought was great because, you know, we kind of talked about like the cotton crazies, the farm crazies. You know, they didn't have access to you know, fancy silks and things, or they didn't want to. You know, if you're a farm wife, even if you can maybe afford a fancy silk dress, you probably are just like, what use do I have for that except maybe like a special occasion? So their textiles are going to be more of these types of cottons. And
I have made a crazy like this, but a much smaller. Yeah, like, why haven't I like put that up?
Why haven't you showed this? Yeah,
right.
I feel like, I know our friend Barb had mentioned that she likes these cotton crazies, and so I thought of her when I asked Ileana if I could snag this one, because it's just it's so charming, and the colors, you know, put it probably mid 20th century, you know, maybe the 30s. It's got a lot of plaid and gingham, and those are notoriously hard to date, but I really feel like this one's, you know, it's got enough stuff in it that tells me like mid-century. And then these are the last 2. This one I thought was cool because of all of these big embroidered motifs that are all circle things.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this one, it's got some kind of jaggediness about it, and I don't know if it's like their individual little like rays that come out, maybe that have like a French knot on the end. Whereas these seem to have like whatever that little spoke or thing coming out of it, it looks bigger. It's like another little tiny circle. So I just thought it's striking, you know, visually.
Yes, very.
And then this one I thought was very cool because this one is another one that looks like it's probably offcuts from clothing construction. Maybe newer, I don't know.
It gives me more of like an abstract feel.
Yeah, it gives this very modern abstract aesthetic. In some ways, you think about like the G's Bend quilts that kind of have this sort of abstract aesthetic. I really liked this one. I thought this one was really cool. I mean, I've got my my G's Bend Target quilt here. It kind of has that look about it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that was my slideshow.
I'm trying to see if I can find my crazy quilt real quick in my pictures.
So you are now looking at my lovely cat.
And you're always blank to-do list.
I always blank to-do list. Well, what I will tell you is the other screen has this exact same image, and it does have things under the to-do list. I mirror my desktops that way. So I know Arlene had to jet, but I just wanted to scroll through these pictures again because there's such good stuff in this one. And I thought we could kind of zoom in now on some of these things. Yeah, some of the stuff I didn't grab screenshots of for the. I mean, look at that. There's these men folk over there. Look at that.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that little pipe we saw earlier. There's a cat.
I feel like every crazy quilt has to have like an owl, a spider, and a cat.
Yeah, I know. There's the playing card. This is just like an I Spy to me because between the lovely little embroideries and the interesting things that are in the fabric, and then this woman, her name is Carrie, her little paintings, which, you know, I mean, again, we're going to assume that she painted them because she was an artist. Ah, look, there's like a little fairy or a Cupid baby or something.
A Cupid baby?
It's like a little something with wings. A little person with wings. I'm assuming it's a little Cupid. I don't know. These pansies are interesting. Oh, I thought this might be painted, but look. They look like they're like a gathered, maybe a gathered ribbon.
Oh, yeah.
That's been stitched down, and then it's got this darker piece behind it. Ah, look at that. A cup. Oh, what is this one? Oh. Go back. What is this? I can't tell what that is. Oh, it's the rear end of a horse.
Oh. Because every crazy quilt needs that.
Oh, look, there was initials. I didn't grab this corner. There's initials. Oh, and doesn't that remind you of, is it Bertha Meckstroth? That did those big initials, like the intertwined initials and stuff. They're really fancy looking stuff. I also like how this person has then embroidered over multiple pieces of the crazy fabrics. So this is like they...
Oh, yeah. Like extended it beyond the limits there.
Mm-hmm. Unless this particular piece in there looked like this, black with the red and green and then the gold. That could be too. I can't tell if that's seamed right there or not. There's that little crown and the snake.
Oh, I like that crown. That crown's cool. I found my crazy. I'm sending it to your email.
Okay.
And this is just like it's like a wall hanging size.
So these men here are General John A. Logan of Illinois and Honorable James G. Blaine of Maine. Blaine of Maine. And this is for president and for vice president. All right, Googlers. What year was that? I'm assuming it's going to be around 1883. And look at this bright orange fabric up there. And then this thing over here, this jug. Oh my goodness, this one almost looks like an animal print, even though I think it's just the way that the
velvet's worn. That jug almost looks 3D.
Yeah, it looks like it might be something that has been tacked down. Unless it's painted. can't tell. Seems to me like it's a separate piece that's been stitched down.
Yeah, before I realized it was a jug, it looked almost like a rock.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because of the way it like pops out.
Okay. Here's the moon with the owl. Very cool. Like it's like a very distinct style.
Is
like
that
almost...
moon angry? Like the owl looks like he's judging the moon. Because he said something off kilter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The owl and the moon are having words. Okay, here's some more. So this would be Rutherford B. Hayes, I'm assuming, and William A. Wheeler are Republican standard bearers. Interesting. There's that moth again. I just love it because it's got like so. It's a really cramped cross stitch, but it's just so.
Oh wow, the way it is like I can tell it's cross stitch, but it almost looks beaded.
Yeah, because it's made with like a very thick, a thick thread.
What is that like brown piece?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to zoom in on that. It looks like a scrap of fur or something. Something fringy. I guess it could have been some plush fabric, but it almost looks like a
almost looks like one of those really furry caterpillars. Someone was just like outside and they were thinking about their crazy quilt, and there was one of them fluffy caterpillars who were like, this thing looks good, I'll put that on there too.
Either that or it's Uncle Bob's eyebrow that we
one of those fake like Colonel Buster stashes.
Yeah, or he just had the one eyebrow. We harvested it for the crazy quilt. Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't know what that is. It's sort of fluffy, like it may have been like a fringe, but it does look like fur.
It looks like it might have been alive at one point.
Oh, did I skip one? These things go. These are neat. This is like an embroidered ribbon.
Oh yeah.
And my guess is that was something commercial that they didn't do themselves. I mean, gosh, even at this, blown up and it's a little blurry. I mean, just look at all the things that you by zooming in, you get to see that you're not expecting to see.
Mm-hmm. Just all the different like
stitches. Again.
Yeah, it's gonna haunt us now. You're gonna power down later and then like come back and it's gonna be like on your desk.
Just inching along like an inchworm.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And then some not very seasonal flowers and wheat. You'd think they would have picked some holly to go in there. Mother. I think I pointed that out earlier. I was looking for that piece that you had said. Ugh. Excuse me. You had said you couldn't tell whether it was like really dense embroidery or it must not be in this view.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
We'll find it.
Are you talking about the white work? Was it the white work?
Yeah. I think it, and like I said, I think it was really dense embroidery. Okay, so this is that leaf. So, yeah, that's definitely machine embroidered. Like, it's still a long and short stitch,
I couldn't see the stitches stitching it down very well before, but I can now.
Yeah, I mean, they're just little teeny tiny. I mean, let me go back. See the difference between these larger embroidery stitches and then that little tiny blanket stitch. But there's an idea, you guys. You don't have to do your own embroidery. If you can manage to clip something out very carefully, turn the edges under, and stitch it down, you don't have to do any of your own embroidery. Okay, what have we not seen yet? Oh, what's this? That's interesting. That's like a little scrap of crochet.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what that might have originally was supposed to be.
I don't know.
Were they covering a little mouse door?
Oh, there's just so much to look at in this. Oh, there's another fan. I don't think that's the fan we saw earlier. But again, it has this little bit, there's a little bit of embroidery there.
Oh yeah, I like that fan better. It looks like they did that fan first, and then they lost steam on the other fan.
It looks kind of like the similar view. There's that little scrap of fur again. We gotta ask Arlene about that. What is up with the fur? Oh, okay. Here's the right side up. Our desperado on the horse. And that looks like a little pen and ink drawing.
Nothing like a horse's ass.
Oh, and look at this flower. That's ribbon or a piece of fabric.
You think that's like a rosebud or something?
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's one I haven't seen yet. A butterfly. Looks like it was painted. I like this fabric too. These little, it's like a brocade, little doodads. Oh, gosh, you guys. It's so much to look at. Ah!
I mean, quilt looking makes me exhausted.
Yeah, and I have spent quite a bit of time over the last 3 days looking at quilts. Oh, but I mean, you keep getting blown away every time. Okay. So, let's see, where am I at with? I think some of these are just more of the same. Yeah, there's the fan that had that teeny little, that little teeny scrap of stitching.
Oh, right
there.
before the fan, you had found the white work.
Oh, did I? Oh, there it is.
Right there.
Okay, so to me, this looks like it was a brocade that they then tried to outline this little areas to make it stand out more. So it just looks kind of encrusted now.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would you call that? Would you call that sloppy embroidery or?
No, I think that, I mean, it's this very small area, and then they've used this heavy or twist, I mean, it's kind of like a pearl cotton. It's kind of just heavy for that area. If they'd used a slightly thinner thread, it would have had a different look. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with this look. It definitely gives it like that very heavy,
well, from afar it looks like beads.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my story now. When people are like, well, it's kind of thick. Your stuff's kind of thick. It looks a little sloppy. I was aiming for it to look like beads.
And by no means do I intend to disparage anybody's work. It's just a choice.
Druid is still talking about the fur and said, what kind of fur is it? It looks too dark to be squirrel fur. And then, well, squirrels are different colors.
Oh my goodness. So this is the one that was made on the East Coast, but it went west, right? The cat is painted. I wasn't sure.
Wait, that's painted. A cat?
Yeah.
It was the way the shape that we were looking at it.
It's turned. Yeah, it's turned.
Yeah.
This fabric is very cool also. The
especially if that fur is a squirrel.
We're gonna find out it's something that we're not even expecting. It's gonna be something that'll be like, that's not fur. But it does look like fur. I wish I had noticed that earlier so we could have asked Arlene about it. This is interesting. It's almost like it was pre-quilted little piece of something.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ribbon work. You've been talking about ribbon embroidery. That's ribbon work.
Can you guys hear that noise? She's not doing it now. My dog was deciding that the footrest she's sleeping on isn't cushiony enough, so she's got to scratch it up.
What I love is when an animal is laying there and like maybe they're not asleep, but they're, they're laying there and they snuggle down, they do their little circle and they snuggle down. And then all of a sudden they're like, and they get up and then they do another circle and then they, and it's like, what? It wasn't quite round enough for you? Like, what was that all about?
They didn't get their bum in the right position.
My cat did that like 4 times the other day. I was like, what? What are you doing? Stay put.
Sometimes you gotta reposition the coziness.
Look, it's a little hat. I just keep seeing stuff I haven't seen.
It's so random.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, like, when someone made this, right? Like, because my first question would be, are those pre-painted or did they paint them after they set them? Because I'm like, are you looking at your crazy quilt when it's done and deciding this, I don't like this blank space here, I don't like this blank space here, then adding in stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be either way. I personally, even if I was a very skilled, painter, sketcher, drawer, I would do the blank pieces, the pieces of fabric first.
Mm-hmm.
Set them aside. They've got to dry. Like this stuff would have been, now that the ink drawings would probably, those would dry quickly. But if this is oil paint, this takes a minute. Like even if it's just like this tiny bit brushed on, oil paint takes a while to dry. It'll stay sticky. So, plus, I don't know. I mean, I'm the kind of person like, I could never be for sure I'm going to draw something the right way the first time. Or that the paint's not going to blob or something. So I personally would not paint directly on my quilt. I would paint on the fabrics and then insert them in my quilt. That's just me. Who knows? Maybe, maybe she was a daring lady and went, oh, look at that blue spot. Let me paint a hat in there.
Well, if she was an artist, she probably has a little more trust in her skill, I guess.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if these were beads, but these look like just little black stitches. I thought maybe they were beads. There was something close to this, though, that I think really were beads. And now I'm not seeing it. Might have been off to the other side.
Oh, look at that little lady on the side there.
Where?
Go back up.
Oh. Her.
Yep. She's cute.
There's the dog.
She looks a little perturbed.
Yeah, she did. So here's a
Maybe
dog.
that dog stole her parasol.
Yeah. And the parasol. I mean, goodness gracious, look at that. And so I'm fairly certain this is a ribbon because you see that edge that says ribbon because of the way it's bound.
Okay, for a second I was looking for the word ribbon. That's it says ribbon.
It's the way it's woven. Like it's, I think those outer edges of a wide ribbon like this are like a thicker, I don't want to say cord, but it's a thicker piece of thread that's in there. And so when, it's going across, the weft is wrapping around that wider, that heavier warp on the edges, and that gives the edges of the ribbon body, and then finishes it off like that. But I can't get over this umbrella, and then on the other quilt, the little people that were trussed. I can't stop looking at them. I'm looking to see if the perturbed lady was in this. No, I think she's over here maybe. Oh, there's this little. Oh, look! It's a cat and. Is that a mouse? Yeah, it's a cat and a rat fighting. Or 2 rats or 2 cats. I can't figure this out. Are they both rats?
I don't know. And what is that, like a fairy that fell on his face?
Yeah, so I think this is a fairy. Didn't I say this was like the little Cupid baby? I think this is a fairy.
Oh, I wasn't. See, when you said the little Cupid baby, I didn't see the image.
Yeah, let me see. Can I turn this?
But if that's a Cupid, why does it have wings like a fly?
Because they're little fairy wings. Fairies have like dragonfly wings. They don't have like feathered wings. Fairies have little insect wings. Don't you know? So these animals, I think, are mice or rats because look at their tails. Their tails are really long and
Yeah,
skinny.
I guess there were probably rats.
That one's got
But
a
it's
very
interesting. They're like lioned rats, like tiger striped rats.
yeah. I guess that's why I kind of thought they were cats because like those do look like tiger stripes. But I think it's just some cross hatching to give some, it's a little sketch. But again, what a weird image.
Druid also said with the fairies wear boots.
Oh, well, this appears to be a thoroughly naked fairy. There were some kind of illustrations. I don't think they were Kate Greenaway, but they were that contemporary of little fairies. You've probably seen them, Oh, there's Perturbed Lady. What is in her hand?
Is it like a big spoon?
A riding crop? It looks like it has a
It
bow
looks
on
like
it.
it looks like a wooden spoon.
Yeah, it looks like it has a bow or something on it.
Or like it's a wooden spoon she's about to hit somebody with.
It could also just be like the handle of her umbrella.
I don't know. I'm going with spoon and she is on the hunt to smack somebody's bottom.
Okay, all right. Look at that. Look at those little ribbon buds.
That's interesting that's ribbon embroidery, like with just regular embroidery.
Mm-hmm. And the way I think they make those, if I remember correctly, it's like you take a piece of ribbon and you fold it in half, and then you flip the edges under, and you kind of like gather it up on the bottom. It. So yeah, it's like you can see like this has been folded in half, and then swooped over the sides, like folded over. Oh, there's a bottle. I didn't see that. Little stitched bottle. But then look at this little painting. That's very detailed.
Wow.
And that's a pretty fabric too, that right there. Wow. I'm still seeing stuff. I'm like, wait, is that? I didn't see that before.
I'm gonna mute myself because my dog's gonna bark. The mailman's here, which means my quilt could be here.
Whee! Cherries. This looks like a really heavily embroidered fabric that maybe had like some embroidered areas of it. That's definitely machine embroidered or woven. Probably embroidered. Oh, this one, is this painted? I guess that's painted. I don't know. Wow. Oh, here's the fur again. Let's see. This is it from another angle. I feel like something is missing here. Like there was maybe something, I don't know, but there's no fading or tearing there, so we'll have to ask Arlene.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yep, there's the snake around the branch again. There's that crown. Wow, this is just a feast for the eyeballs. Now let's see. We're getting close to time.
I was gonna say, don't forget to pull mine up.
Oh yeah. Let me do that before. And you said you emailed that to me, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't accidentally show your email, huh?
You'd see my shame of never never reading email.
Oh, you're one of those people, huh?
I try.
Never read and never delete.
Yeah. Okay. So here is Jill's.
I sent you two pictures.
I know. Yep. This is very cool.
Yeah, and that's just a wall hanging size. I think if I remember correctly that those are 5-inch blocks.
Okay.
And I haven't it's not completed, it's just a top right now. I haven't done any bedazzling or anything. But yeah, that's just working out from scrapping.
Oh, that is so cool. So, are these like your mom's scraps, things that she had, or were they things you've accumulated?
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
My mom
like this
didn't
fabric.
have a whole lot of scraps around.
Your mom is
Not
like
what
my mom. She deals in yardage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she dealt in yardage, and yeah, I'm guessing that she just didn't.
Yeah, I
Like,
would have anticipated a lot more scraps. So it was mostly from like when I was learning to quilt, gathering up scraps and things from friends. And then I also, when I started kind of buying my own fabric, I would buy scrap bags.
mhm. Yeah, I've done that too.
Yes, quiltish, I am planning at some point in time to embellish it. And I decided when I was planning it, this is one of the first quilt tops I have made. Um when I was first kind of planning it, I had bought like fancy like buttons and things to put on it and whatnot, not necessarily just embroidery stitches. And you know what's funny is I made this and was considering all the embellishment before I even knew what crazy quilts were.
Oh, that
Yep,
is
I
very
just kind of
cool.
did this as improv piecing, and this is also not done on a foundation.
Oh, so
I
these are just.
literally I literally just kept placing fabrics over fabrics and stitching down, and then when
Mhm.
I got a piece that was big enough, I just cut out a block.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I would often take the remnants of whatever I cut off the edges and make so the places where you're seeing really small piecing, that's probably something I cut off from another block and then started to build again.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think it's easier to do that with like cottons like this. My assumption is that they so many crazy quilts were pieced on a foundation is because they were things like silks that are just notoriously like wiggly. And if
Yeah.
you put them on a foundation, you kind of have, they behave a little bit better. But cottons can be starched and are generally much more solid and stable than silks are as far
Mm-hmm.
as not being wiggly. And if you've never sewn with silks, oh Lord.
No, I don't really have any intention to sew with silks.
Well, there's certain aspects of silks that are very nice to sew with. Like they're a dream to stitch through depending on what type of silk it is, but generally like even a twill weave, like a satin weave, even if it's like it's a very heavy fabric, it's still like your needle just slides right through because it's silky. I would say dupiones are those are the ones that are kind of have a matte surface, but they have like little slubs, like kind of see like a little slubbiness in it.
Mm-hmm.
Those can be a little
Slubbiness.
well slubs like a slub in a yarn or a thread is like a little like chunky fuzzy area, right? And sometimes that's part of the intention and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's in fact I've been using some thread. It's Aurifil. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's Aurifil and it's very fine, but I don't know if it was a bad batch or something because I keep finding little slubby bits in it and like yeah, they're problematic. But in weaving or in knitting, slubs in yarn and threads can be purposeful because they give a different dimension to the item. But yeah, so silk dupioni is a very tightly woven and it's a little slubby and it wants to sometimes like kind of make like a pop when you put your needle through. It's kind of like because it's very tightly woven, but still an absolute breeze to stitch through. Silk dupioni also makes a really nice crease. Like you fold the edge over and you can literally crease it like paper. It's delightful.
Mm.
But like a satin, oh my god, forget about it. If I've stitched down something and I've done some not really crazy quilts because I can say I have never made a crazy quilt. I've never even made a crazy block really. But I have appliqued silk pieces down like old kimono scraps and stuff. I bought like a scrap bag of kimono pieces and just trying to like turn those over and stitch the edges down. It frays like crazy. It is wiggly. Like if you were to try to stitch on your sewing machine, you put the two pieces together and you try to put it through your sewing machine, it's all like, no thank you, no thank you. And you end up, you're like, at the end, you're like, what happened here? I feel like every girl who's ever said, you know what, I did pretty well in home ec, I'm going to make my own prom gown. They quickly learned, whether it was real silk or imitation silk or polyester, they went, why did I do this? Because anything that's that slippery, wiggly fabric is just a nightmare. So,
and that is why I have never made clothing of any kind.
Well, and it's why I do love a nice cotton garment because it's so easy to sew. Linen and silk do not behave as nice and orderly as cotton does.
I mean, linen pisses me off even just to wear it because there's no, the only time you're not a wrinkled mess is the first 5 minutes you put the outfit on. I used to have some linen shorts that I loved. They were so comfortable. But the minute you sat down and got up again, you just looked like a disaster.
Well, and I guess you kind of have to lean into it, right? You just assume like linen is gonna linen, and I'm gonna look like a hot mess. But here's the interesting thing about linen. Also wiggly for whatever reason, and even if it's just like it's like a over under weave, like a even weave, it's wiggly. But it is the reason why it is so cool to wear. You always see summer is linen and like those white linen suits. The very Gatsby kind of thing. Is because the properties of linen has it's got capillary action in the fibers. So it literally will suck away the sweat and distribute it across the fiber. Cotton doesn't have long enough fibers to do that. It does suck the sweat away from you, but it kind of just like it holds the moisture. Not the way polyester does, of course, because polyester will not even absorb anything and just like hold the stink and the sweat right to your body. At least cotton will pull it off your body and then take its sweet time drying. And then, of course, wool, being our powerhouse, can absorb more than its weight in moisture and can keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. So there's my pitch for wool.
I also hear a lot about linen bed sheets being far superior to like anything else. I've never tried sleeping on linen bed sheets.
I've never slept on linen bed sheets, but I mean our forebears, they did. We've definitely seen antique linen sheets, and they do. Mm-hmm. They have a very nice feel, especially when they've been washed a lot. They just get that really soft. But gosh,
well, considering all the ways they used to wash them.
Yes. Boiling water, caustic lye, slapping them on rocks, scrubbing them on
or urine.
Yeah, a urine was that a dye setter or a stain remover? I don't even know. Anyway, yeah, they really did. They put whites through a lot historically just to keep them white.
I mean, we still put whites through a lot.
We do, we do. So we are closing in on 4:00. Somehow I am not surprised that it took us 2 hours to look at all this beautiful stuff. So I'm going to stay on the screen so that I'm not alienating you.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise it'll just be me and my big dumb head. So.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Double T has decided that this is his pillow and his blankie. he's gonna declare this quilt as his, so he can have a nice little nap.
That's cute.
I, on the other hand, have to go do some stuff for my finance guy.
So, it's funny because when you opened your quilt from Dana's auction and you're like, this is my last quilt, you were already wrong because you bought that other little quilt yesterday.
I didn't buy this quilt. I got it for free with a donation.
So you bought the quilt?
Yes, but it was not a donation It was a donation that was a literally a tiny microscopic amount compared to what I paid.
Just saying, your pants were already on fire before you even started speaking.
Well, you guys could call me out and make me wear a Pinocchio nose, but I'm really, really trying to save my budget for seminar because I feel like there's going to be something there that is going to be stupendous. So
that's very likely.
Yeah. But I am happy to have acquired the Eagle because I think I'm beginning my Eagle collection. I had the one kit, and I just, I kept looking for things. And with that one coming up, I now have something to research. And for those of you that are on the Six Know-It-Alls, Show Us Your Quilts, a while back, I can't remember if it was somebody, I think it was Sharon Waddell might have shown a picture. It was a bicentennial picture. Actually, this might have been AQSG. This may not have been the Six Know-It-Alls. But anyway, our friend Sharon Waddell showed a picture of a bicentennial quilt, and then our dear friend Mary Kay Waldvogel chimed in and said, hey, all of these bicentennial like commemorative quilts, where are they now? And that might be a great research project. And I was like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
Some of us are obsessed with 1776 to 1976. I was 3 years old, and I have memories from that time, like just this very, very little, like I'm a little kid kind of memories from 1976. I really do remember a couple things. So I don't know. It's just an obsession I have now, and it's just to add to, all the other obsessions. But I think that the bicentennial overlaps with my urgent need for Eagle quilts.
I support this obsession.
Well, and I had kind of had the Eagle obsession for a while, and I don't think it was very well formed for a while to where really I was like, it's bicentennially Eagle quilts. Like, that's what I've got the fervor for. But as I was looking at Dr. Dunton's collection, he also had done a lot of research on eagles and had like a scrap of eagle fabric in his fabric collection. And then Florence Pito also did a whole bunch of stuff on eagles. She did the lion's share of the research on eagles, and I was just like, it was fascinating to me to think, the centennial 1876, and then the bicentennial, like there's this 100 years there where people have been obsessed with eagles. They're not just attached to the centennial and bicentennial. So well, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I did.
You can tell I enjoyed it because I need a nap now. Like I'm so overloaded with quilty goodness.
Yeah, and I have to say, like after yesterday, that was it's a 3-hour thing we do. Typically when you go to a quilt study, depending on the number of people there and the number of quilts people have brought, it's like, it was 3 hours solid looking at quilts. And yeah, by the end of it, I was just like, I cannot look at another quilt. I'm like, my head is like spinning.
And then you got to sit in a bunch of traffic.
Then I sat in traffic, yeah. But yeah, then when I got back home, I was like, oh, I've got other quilts to think about. So, yeah, it's definitely been a wonderful week of quilts, and my head has exploded now. So we will leave it at that. Next week, we have got, I'll be back on Monday as usual. And I have chosen a book. So you guys, wait for it. It is quilt adjacent. It is not about quilts, but I'm bringing back a previous author that we have read before. So we'll see how this new book, which I will reveal on Monday, how her writing in that compares to her writing that we've read before. And then Tuesday, as always, is Quilt Nerding and our book club stuff, and we're getting started on Patchwork Pillowcases. So if you're following along there, hopefully you have your book. We'll be ready to read that. And if you want to jump in with that, check out the Quilt Nerding videos, because Jill has put in the link to our friend Ann's Etsy to be able to purchase the book if she has some left. I think she still had a couple left. So we'll be starting that on Tuesday. Next week is also a Needlework Nights week, and we're going to be doing advertising thimbles, really exploiting the advertising needlework tools. So that'll be an interesting look. Yeah, so it'll be lots of interesting stuff again next week.
Yeah, it'll be a busy week, that's for sure.
So
but an exciting one.
It definitely. So happy Friday Eve, my dear friends. As always, thank you so much for being here. Jill and I couldn't do this kind of stuff. I couldn't do this stuff on my stream if it wasn't for you all showing up and cheering us on. We could just sit on the phone with each other if that's all it was. But yeah, we like to hang out with you guys. So we really appreciate it, as always, for supporting us. So have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you soon.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.